1.5 millennia ago, the Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, was experiencing a myriad of political and social transformations. With its capital in Constantinople, the empire's vast territories were constantly under threat from external enemies, including the Sassanid Persians in the east and various barbarian groups in the west. Economically, the empire was grappling with issues of taxation and trade imbalances. The political landscape was marked by intrigue, with frequent power struggles and coups. In the year 500 AD, a woman named Theodora was born in Constantinople to a family of circus performers. The details of her early life are shrouded in uncertainty, with varying accounts of her origins. Some sources, like Michael the Syrian, suggest she was born in Syria, while others claim she was a native of Cyprus or Paphlagonia. Theodora's family was deeply intertwined with the vibrant world of the Constantinople hippodrome. Her father, Acacius, was a bear trainer, while her mother, whose name remains unrecorded, was a dancer and an actress. Theodora had two sisters, Comito and Anastasia. Tragedy struck early when her father died, plunging the family into financial hardship. In a desperate bid for assistance, their mother quickly remarried a man who was offered the position of bear keeper in the hippodrome. Theodora's youth was marked by controversy. The ancient historian Procopius's Secret History, a source often criticized for its slanderous nature, paints a vivid picture of Theodora's early years. It claims she followed in her sister Comito's footsteps, working in a brothel and later performing on stage in Constantinople. One particularly salacious account describes her portrayal of Leda and the Swan, in which Zeus, disguised as a swan, seduces the woman, Leda, suggesting that Theodora was probably known for her provocative performances. However, the veracity of these claims is debated among historians. While some, like John of Ephesus, acknowledge her origins from the brothel, they also emphasize her subsequent redemption, aligning with Christian narratives of repentance and transformation. Theodora's journey then took her to North Africa, where she became the concubine of a Syrian official, Eusebius. Their relationship was tumultuous, and after its dissolution, Theodora found herself in Alexandria, Egypt. It was here that she possibly converted to Miaphysitism, which is a Christological doctrine that emerged in the early Christian church, asserting that in Jesus Christ, there is a single, unified nature that is both divine and human, rather than two distinct natures existing in one person, as believed by all major Christian doctrines today. Theodora's travels continued to Antioch, where she crossed paths with a dancer named Macedonia, who had connections to Justinian, the future emperor. Upon her return to Constantinople, Theodora's life took a dramatic turn. She met and captivated Justinian, who was determined to marry her. However, a long-standing Roman law prohibited those of senatorial rank from marrying actresses. It was only after the death of the mother of Justinian, Empress Euphemia, and the subsequent amendment of this law that Justinian could marry Theodora. Theodora's personal life was not without its mysteries. She had an illegitimate daughter, whose father remains unknown. Procopius also claimed she had an illegitimate son named John, though this account is viewed skeptically by many historians. Upon Justinian's ascension to the throne in 527, Theodora was not merely a ceremonial figure by his side. She was crowned Augusta and became the Empress of the Eastern Roman Empire in her own right. Her influence was not confined to the palace's ornate chambers but extended to the very heart of governance and policy-making. Procopius noted her active participation in state councils and her significant sway over Justinian's decisions. This was further evidenced when Justinian referred to her as his partner in my deliberations in Novel 8.1, an anti-corruption legislation from AD 535. In this legislation, provincial officials were mandated to swear an oath of allegiance not just to the emperor, but also to the empress, underscoring her unparalleled position of power. Theodora's vision for the Byzantine Empire was inextricably linked with that of her husband. Justinian, having grown up with the belief in one God, saw the Roman Empire as a singular entity, with Rome as its indispensable heart. This theological and political confluence led the imperial couple to view their reign as a divine mandate to mirror the heavenly order on earth. As the sole Christian emperor and empress, they perceived their leadership as a celestial reflection, tasked with unifying the empire under one god. Yet, their aspirations were not merely spiritual or ideological. The young imperial couple, in contrast to their more complacent predecessors, harbored grand ambitions for the empire. They envisioned a realm adorned with majestic churches and public edifices, and they sought to reclaim lost territories through ambitious military campaigns. However, such grand designs came with a hefty price tag. To fund their projects, Justinian, with the assistance of his chief financial minister, John the Cappadocian, implemented rigorous taxation policies. This aggressive financial approach often ruffled the feathers of the aristocracy, who felt their patrician status was being undermined. In these early years of her reign, Theodora emerged not as a shadow behind the throne but as a formidable co-ruler, shaping the destiny of the Byzantine Empire alongside Justinian. During these years, in the Byzantine Empire coexisted two major party factions, the Blues and the Greens. These factions, more than just supporters of chariot races, were deeply embedded in the socio-political fabric of the empire. Frequent street clashes occurred between them. However, in January 532, a unique event transpired. After a riot led to the sentencing of several felons from both factions, a failed execution saw two survivors. This incident sparked a public demand for mercy, culminating in a rare union of the typically rival factions during a chariot race at the Hippodrome. Recognizing the peril of this unexpected alliance, Justinian retreated to the palace. The situation escalated rapidly, with rioters setting buildings ablaze and even proclaiming a new emperor, Hypatius. As chaos reigned, Justinian and his officials contemplated fleeing the city. It was at this critical juncture that Theodora showcased her indomitable spirit. Procopius recounts her impassioned speech, where she championed the dignity of dying as a ruler over the ignominy of living in exile. She famously declared, "Royal purple is the noblest shroud," emphasizing the honor of their position and the gravity of their responsibility. Her words were not just eloquent but galvanizing. Inspired by her resolve, Justinian ordered a counter-offensive. Belisarius and Mundus, loyal officers to the emperor, led a brutal crackdown on the rioters in the Hippodrome, resulting in the deaths of over 30,000 civilians. Procopius' portrayal of Theodora during the Nika riots is intriguing. He paints her as the bedrock of strength, contrasting with a seemingly indecisive Justinian. Some scholars speculate that Procopius might have manipulated the narrative to cast the rulers in the mold of ancient tyrants. Regardless of the veracity of such interpretations, Theodora's influence during the crisis is undeniable. In the aftermath, Hypatius, the proclaimed emperor by the mob, met a grim fate. Despite his protestations of innocence, he was executed, with some sources suggesting it was Theodora who insisted on this outcome. In the aftermath of the tumultuous Nika riots, Emperor Justinian and Empress Theodora embarked on an ambitious project to rebuild Constantinople. Their vision encompassed the construction of aqueducts, bridges, and over 25 churches, with the Hagia Sophia standing as the most iconic testament to their architectural legacy. Procopius detailed how she and Justinian transformed the traditional interactions between the monarchy and the senators. Senators, regardless of their stature, were required to prostrate before the imperial couple, emphasizing the clear hierarchy between the rulers and the governed. This move was seen as an attempt to curb bureaucratic corruption and ensure tighter control over the administration. Theodora's political acumen was evident in her strategic alliances. She was instrumental in orchestrating marriages that would consolidate power, such as the union of her sister Comito to General Cidas and her niece Sophia to Justinian's nephew, Justin II, who later ascended to the throne. Years passed, and finally, Theodora's life came to an end in 548 AD. Her death was attributed to cancer, though the exact nature of her illness remains a subject of historical debate. The Byzantine Empire mourned the loss of an empress who had risen from humble beginnings to become one of its most influential rulers. Her passing left a void in both the political and personal life of Emperor Justinian, who deeply mourned her loss for the following years. In the wake of Theodora's death, the empire faced a succession dilemma. The imperial couple had no children, And with Theodora's formidable presence gone, the question of who would succeed Justinian became pressing. Ultimately, Justinian's nephew, Justin II, who had been strategically married to Theodora's niece Sophia, ascended to the throne after Justinian's death in 565 AD. This succession ensured that the legacy of Justinian and Theodora continued, intertwining their familial and political ties. From the streets of Constantinople to the heart of the empire, Theodora's rise and reign echo as a powerful narrative of ambition, influence, and an indelible mark on Byzantine lore.